I would like to introduce you to Alexandria, who goes by the name Lexi, an 18-year-old college student. All interviews were conducted using video conferencing. I did obtain consent from Lexi as well as other family members to use their photos. Lexi was born in Riverdale, Georgia. One of Lexi's best memories is when Michael, her oldest brother, tried to chase her around the yard, and her big dog Diesel jumped on to protect her. Diesel was a family dog, but at that moment it made her happy because she felt that she was loved and protected. Another good memory Lexi has is living in a women's safe house. There was a worker there that spent a lot of time coloring and playing with her when she was a young girl. She remembers feeling safe and carefree. One of the worst memories that Lexi has is an instance where her mom found drugs in a motorhome that they owned. Her mom was yelling at her dad about the drugs. Lexi walked outside and her dad had hid something behind his back, which she learned later was a gun. Her mom told her and her brother to run in the house and pack a bag, then told them to run to the car and drive away if she got shot. Lexi's mom made it to the car and she remembers her dad said, "Lexi, you always choose your mom." She really wanted his approval, and at that moment, those words hurt. It is one of the most painful memories she recalls. The other memory that Lexi recalls involved another older brother, Marcus, who suffered from mental health issues and cutting. One night when she had some friends spending the night, she remembers her brother attempting suicide. She remembers her stepdad talking to Marcus on the front porch, and he said he overdosed on medication, but then became very scared. He collapsed on the porch, and his body was limp. She stayed home while her mom and stepfather drove her brother to the hospital. She says she remembers being scared because she realized at that moment she could lose her brother for good. When Lexi thinks of people over the age of 40, she thinks of adults she has worked with. She says that most of them have treated her as if she is ignorant or lacks knowledge or input because of her age, which makes her feel belittled. She states that there are constant comments about her being just a baby or just a child. She would prefer being treated as an equal who is just as capable of giving input as any other employee. In the textbook, Understanding Communication and Aging, Developing Knowledge and Awareness, Jake Harwood describes this as being an element of patronizing speech called endearing terms. In speaking to elderly, this could be calling people terms such as sweetie or love. However, young people can experience this as well, just as Lexi described. Lexi believes that she has more differences with the older adults than likenesses. She feels this is because there are so many changes that have occurred in society. Some examples that she gave were the use of smartphones. Her generation has grown up with having a phone accessible to them at all times. She feels that many older adults criticize the amount of time younger adults spend on electronics, helping to increase this division between them. To get a better understanding of Lexi's attitude towards aging, I used a measuring tool that Jake Harwood adapted from Empirical Study of Ageism, from polemics to scientific utility. And the tool asks, when I am old questions. or how things such as stamina, concentrating, satisfaction, and enjoyment of life will increase or decrease with age. And you can find this on in the textbook by Harwood, the 2007 textbook, page 50. Her score, Lexi's score, on this study was 17 out of 30, indicating how positive or negative she sees life will be as she ages. So with 30 being the most positive and 5 being the least. So again, Lexi got 17. So she was just over midpoint for how she sees life as she gets older. Now, I advised her that a negative outlook can have a lasting effect on her. Harwood cites Levy, Slade, and Kunkel and Castle in saying people with negative attitudes about aging live about 7.5 years shorter than those with rosier perceptions of aging. This is found in Harwood 2007, page 70. When told about this research, Lexi found the information shocking. However, she did not know kind of how she can change her outlook. Lexi states that she, quote, totally has, end quote, had to change the way she is speaking depending on who she is talking with. So when talking to her boss, she says she does not drop what she calls the F-bomb, meaning slang language, but she makes sure that she speaks professionally. She also recalls changing the context of being joking and funny with some people and maybe serious with those who tend to be more serious. Harwood describes this as communication accommodation, which examines the way in which people adjust their speech style depending on who they are talking to. Lexi's favorite television shows are Lucifer and Downton Abbey. Her favorite characters in both shows are the main characters, who are in their late 20s and early 30s for the women, and early to late 30s and 40s for the men. And this is actually very typical for the overrepresentation that is portrayed in the media, according to a study by that Harwood cited by Lawson and Dozier in 2005. Now, for health, Lexi doesn't spend much time at medical appointments, only routine appointments twice a year, which according to Harwood is typical for her age. The older individuals get, the more doctor appointments they tend to have. When examining her medical appointments, Lexi sees them as being rushed, making her feel as though doctors don't have the time to address all of her concerns. Although, according to Harwood, this is typical for elderly. It is also sometimes experienced by young adults. All patients, regardless of age, can benefit from the training of Dr. Rana Awdish, teaching physicians and staff to be present with patients. So when talking to Lexi about technology, she mentions that the technology that she uses on a daily basis is her cell phone. She received her first cell phone 7 years ago, and both cell phones and her use of them have come a long way. You can see in the picture here, this is actually the year that both her and her older brother received their first cell phone. So using a similar design as Harwood used for technology for people who were 65 years of age and older, in 2005, I wanted to see what technology Lexi has experienced in her 18 years. So the information for dates of technology came from the Foundations of Economic Education. And so you can kind of see here, there's a chart that lists when Lexi was, each age. So starting with when Lexi was 1 year old, Skype was launched. When she was 2, Google search engine went public and Facebook was developed. At age 3, Google Maps. 5, Apple iPhone was the first touch screen phone with a mass market appeal. At age 6, Facebook was actually really started to kick off and take, people really just started to utilize it. At age 10, driverless car completed over 300,000 miles. At age 11, Instagram started. When Lexi was 13, reusable rockets successfully landed on the moon and back to Earth, which actually puts us even closer to traveling for entertainment purposes to the moon. At age 14, Snapchat started. So after looking at all this, I advised Lexi of the list of technology that has happened in her life, and she was just super shocked of most of it, especially social media. She's shocked at how rapidly social media has grown. She said she just can't imagine a life without social media. In conclusion, Lexi says she's really thankful for this experience that she's had with the interviews and education this semester. It has made her more aware of the interactions that she has with people of all ages.